right, we are in our pseudo BC calculus class, worksheet 2-2. I think maybe for the years to come, I won't tell them that they're learning AP calculus. I'll just be like, yeah, this is pre-calculus. From here, I'm thinking of all the teacher tricks I have up my sleeve. Oh yeah, just do this. This is nice and easy. Number one, we have this function. It looks kind of familiar. And I will go on the record as saying I stole every single one of these problems from Khan Academy, so thank you, Khan Academy. I'm citing you. I'm not stealing you. I cited it, so I'm good. Don't sue me. How do I find h prime of 7/4? Do the formula now. Everyone, write down the formula for h prime if h and g are opposites. It says h and g are inverse functions of one another. So write down your formula using h and g if I'm trying to find h prime. Go. And don't look up here unless you need a hint. This is one... Oh, don't say it out loud, Mr. Sindel. What?
Her flashlight's on.
You didn't say it 3 times, so it's not true. Okay, so...
What are you going to do? 3 times?
I already got in trouble today.
So from here...
3 times?
You said it 3 times. And she was like, shh, shh. He's like trying to nonchalantly tell you to be quiet. Okay, so from here, I know what h of 7/4 is because it's embedded in this information right here. Go ahead and swap it out ahead of me. Do it before I do it because I know that h of 7/4 now is the same thing as 2. I can swap them. That's the definition of an inverse function. So I can say, hey, this h of 7/4, that's 2, and I have 1 over g prime of 2. I'm almost there. I need to find the derivative of g now. So luckily I gave you more room than the notes, so sorry about that. I can actually find what g prime is. G prime of x. I'll do that down here. So here's g of x up here. I have to take the derivative over and over and over again. I'll give you guys a 10-second head start. See if you can take the derivative on your own.
I can't.
All right, I'm going to silently do it right now. All right, now you're checking your work with Mr. Sindel. I got 3/8 x squared plus 1/2. Give yourself a mental thumbs up, thumbs down, and then we're continuing on. I need to plug in what value? Well, I'm trying to find g prime of 2. There's g prime of x, plug in 2. So I come down here and I say, what is g prime of 2? I plug in 2 everywhere that I see an x. I get 3/8 of 2 quantities squared plus 1/2. Okay, well, 2 squared, that's 4. 4 times... Well, I can kind of simplify the 4 and the 8. That turns into a 2 down here. So I really have 3 halves. So this is equal to 3. You remember how one person ruins it for everyone? Oh, one person is blowing bubblegum? Everyone at school, no more bubblegum, right?
Do it louder.
So it's 3 halves plus 1/2. Again, this was 4/8, which was 1/2. 1/2 of 3 is 3 halves. And that is equal to 4 over 2, which is equal to 2. So we know what g prime of 2 is. G prime of 2 is 2. So I come back up here and I say, hey, this is 1 over 2, final answer. Box it. 1/2 was our final answer.
Wait, is it though?
It is, because this was not a fraction. Sometimes this number will be a fraction. It'll have a nested fraction. We don't have any nested fractions, so we can just be like, yeah, we're done.
Making sure you do it right.
All right, so I am going to kind of now quickly going to be doing this. I'm going to jump ahead, and do you guys want to follow me? Should I jump ahead? I kind of want you to do it on your own so you can learn.
I don't want to do it on my own.
Okay, it's up to you. I'm going to kind of still be loud, so I apologize. Try to ignore me and do it as much as you can on your own, but here I go. Number 2, I have letters G and H. G is the inverse of H, so in terms of G and H, what is G prime? Try out your formula on your own. It's going to be 1 over H prime of G of 5. It's one of those formulas that you're just going to have to get the hang of. Luckily, I gave you lots and lots of practice. So in order to do that, what is G prime of 5? Well, check it out. G of 5. G of 5 is equal to 2 because that's the definition of our inverse function. So I come back down here, U are 2. So our new fraction is 1 over H prime of 2. How do I find H prime of 2? Well, first I have to figure out H prime. Here's H. H is that polynomial. So my scratch work down here, h prime of x, taking the derivative. 3 is going to multiply down in front. 3 times 1 is 3, so I have 3/4. 3/4. Okay, x to what power? It was 3, go down in power to 2. Okay, derivative of the next term, derivative of 2x is 2, so plus 2. Derivative of -1 is 0. Derivative of a constant is always 0. So there's my function when I take the derivative, and I'm going to plug in 2. So I'm going to get h prime of 2, and I'm going to get 3/4 of 2 quantity squared plus 2, and 2 squared is 4, and 4 on the top and bottom cancel out, so I just have 3 plus 2. 3 plus 2, and that is equal to 5. So h prime of 2 is 5. This h prime of 2 is 5. So the answer here is 1/5. Final answer, and box it. I would like to point out also, I am not using any shortcuts. I'm doing this a long way every single time
Why?
because I want to show my work. And especially for the homework solutions, if people want to not watch the video and just do the homework, this is for you. Making sure I'm nice and thorough.
Why do you look at me?
And for some reason, I typed in ket for both of these, so interesting typo. I typed each of these by hand, so that should be an L for next time, Mr. Sandel. That should be an L for next time. If you're watching this video in the future, I should have already fixed it. If not, log the extra credit. All right, so g prime of 11. Try to write the formula on your own. It should be 1 divided by, I'm using f and g, so this is going to be f prime of g of 11. Again, if you don't remember how to memorize this thing, really think of this as the inner. So this is dinner is equal to 1 over daughter of the inner. And that's kind of where the inner and outers come from. So from here, I'm going to say, what is g of 11? Well, I know g is the inverse, so g of 11 must be 2. So coming back over here, I have 1 over, this turns into a 2, 1 over f prime of 2. Now I have to find f prime, then plug in 2. It's the same thing over and over again. So I say f prime of x is equal to 3x squared plus 2, and then I plug in 2. F prime of 2 is equal to 3 times 2 is being plugged in, squared plus 2. And 2 squared is 4. 4 times 3 is 12. 12 plus 2 is 14. This is 1 over 14. Final answer, box it. Number 4, try writing your formula using f and h. So this must be 1 over h prime of f of 10. That is now going to be equal, f of 10, you can probably see it by now, I'm going to stop writing it, it's -1. This is now 1 over h prime of -1. And then from here I need to figure out what h prime is. Well, h is right there, let me zoom out so I can see it all in the same frame. H prime of x is equal to -1 minus 10x to the power of 4. I realize I'm going faster and faster, but I hope that you also are going to be going faster and faster if you're doing it purely by yourself, because you're just getting better and better. And that was me saying that so you could catch up also. That is now going to be, I'm plugging in -1, so h prime of -1 is equal to -1 minus 10 times -1 to the power of 4. Anything to an even power makes it positive, so I really have positive 1. 1 times 10 is 10, and then -1 minus that 10 is -11. So my answer is -1/11. Box it, moving on. Number 5, using h and g, how do we make our function? H is equal to 1 over, that's not a good over, 1 over g prime of h of 4. Once again, h of 4 is equal to 1, so this is 1 over g prime of 1. From here, I take the derivative yet again. So g prime of x is equal to 5x to the power of 4 plus 3, and then I'm going to plug in 1. So g prime of 1 is equal to 5 plus 3, aka 8. So our answer here is 1/8. That is our 5-minute warning. We are on to number 6, and I know I'm going fast. You guys can rewatch the video if you needed to catch up with any of these notes, or look at the... Are you serious? I put them on my website, the thing that I update like 5 times a day. Go to the website if you ever want to watch the videos. F prime
I
of...
find the notes videos, but I didn't find the homework.
The homework videos should be underneath. Sometimes I record the video, sometimes I don't. So if I'm recording it with you guys, the video should be up. And to you in the future, if I don't have the video up, I will make one. So f prime of 7 using f and h is 1 over h prime of f of 7. That is now going to be equal to 1 over h prime of negative 1. And then I have to figure out what h prime is. So h prime of x is equal to negative 1 minus 3x squared. I'm going to continue number 6 and then I'll finish the video at another time. I will have the complete homework solution videos up tonight. All right, so those of you tuning in now because you're watching the homework solutions, this is how you continue this derivative. You plug in negative 1 and you get h prime of negative 1 is equal to negative 1 minus 3, because anything with an even power is always 1, so this just turned into 1. And that is going to be, you kind of do the keep, change, so keep it, change it, and that's negative 4. I should stick with green though. Negative 4, so our answer is negative 1/4. Box it. Alright, so on to number 7, and I totally lost my pacing, so I'm like recording many hours in the future. Let's see if I can remember how to do this. This is 1 over f prime of h of 14, negative 14. And then from there, I know that that's going to be 1 over f prime of negative 2. And I need to find f prime, so let's do that. F prime of x is equal to, that's going to be 3 over 2. X goes down to power to 2 plus 3, and plugging in negative 2, that's going to be f prime of negative 2 is equal to 3 over 2. Okay, that's going to be times negative 2 quantity squared plus 3, and then negative 2 squared is positive 4. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 2 times 3 is 6. So 6 plus 3 is 9. I got 1/9. Box it. Next question, number 8. Let's do this. So f prime in terms of g, so it's 1 over g prime of f of 0. And f of 0 is 1, so this is 1 over g prime of 1. And g prime, what are you? G prime of x, you are negative 2 minus 3x squared. So if I plug in 1, g prime of 1, I get negative 2 minus 3, which is equal to, it's a keep, change, right? Keep, change, it's a negative 5. I should go back here to green. Negative 5. So I got negative 1/5. All right, that was page 1. On to page 2. These are the table values. So on to number 9. Let's zoom in here. Ooh, maybe too much. On number 9. There we go. For number 9, h of negative 4. Again, it's the same formula over and over again. In terms of f, it's 1 over f prime of h of 4. And make that line a little bit longer for Teflon. You're welcome. And then from there, what is h of 4? Of negative 4. Let's get back here. Sorry. Of negative 4. And still extend that line as well. H of negative 4. Well, negative 4 is right there. So which of these is h? Well, this one is h. So that matches up with 1. So I say this is 1 over f prime of 1. All right. And what is f prime of 1? When I look at 1 f prime, which of these is f prime? Oh, that's f prime, so it must be 4. And I can back here and say this is 1 over 4, final answer, and box it. All right, so another formula, we have f and g, so this is going to be 1 over g prime of f of 4. And what is that going to give us? So f of 4 is negative 3. Whoa, that is not, if I hit shifts. Ah, it doesn't go back. Okay, so this is going to be 1 over negative 3. Oh, let me undo this. This is 1 over g prime of negative 3. And from there, what is g prime of negative 3? That is negative 1/4. So let's say 1 over negative 1/4. And keep it, change it, flip it, that's just negative 4. On to number 11. H prime of 3 in terms of g, that's going to be 1 over, what's going on? 1 over, g prime of h of 3. Eventually I'll get these memorized better, right? Yeah, I know that Teflon wants me to do that. Okay, so this is going to be 1 over g prime of, okay, what is h of 3? H of 3 is 4, so 4 right there. And what is g prime of 4? G prime of 4 is 1/2. So this is going to be 1 over 1/2, and keep it, change it, flip it. This is 2. Final answer, box it. Number 12. So g prime of 0, this is going to be 1 over h prime of g of 0. And that's going to be equal to 1 over h prime of what? G of 0 is -2. So -2. And h prime of -2 is -1. So it's 1 over -1. That's just -1. Final answer, and box it. And I'm noticing the pattern, which is one of these numbers is always in the table. So one of these numbers is always in the table. So do the opposite of that number, not 0, but the -2, and then take the far right number. That's always going to be the answer. That's going to be the denominator, right? So I'm going to test my theory. I think the answer for this one is 3. Wait, sorry, opposite of 2. I think the answer to this one is 12. Let's see. So this is going to be 1 all over, it's h, right? No, g. G prime, no, 1 over f. F prime of g of 2. All right, so that's going to be 1 over f prime of, okay, what's g of 2? G of 2 is 9. That's this one right here, right? F prime of 9, and that's going to be equal to 1 over f prime of 9 is 1 over 12. 1 over 12. Keep it, change it, flip it. It's 12. Okay, so we have the shortcut here. I don't know if I should use that shortcut because I kind of want to show all of my work over and over again. So I'll tell you the answer, and then you can maybe skip ahead in the video. I don't know. The answer to this one is -3 over 2. How do you get that? So it's equal to 1 over h prime of f of -1. That is going to be equal to 1 over h prime of f of -1 is 5. And that's going to be equal to 1 over h prime of 5 is -2/3, so -2/3. Keep it, change it, flip it. That's going to be equal to -3 over 2. -3 over 2. And if you want to say that's -1.5, yeah, okay, that's great. Either way. I actually am getting more and more used to fractions, so I like fractions. I didn't box my answers back there. Did I box all these? I did, and that one didn't have. I need to make that green. Hold on. I need to make this look nice. Be consistent in my color coding. I am on number 15, yep. Okay, so number 15, that's our second to last problem. Wow, it goes fast. The answer to this one is 1 over -2. How do I do that? So I get 1 over g prime of h of 1, of 1, not 11, and that is going to be equal to 1 over g prime of, okay, so h of 1 is 3. So 3, and that's going to be equal to 1 over g prime of 3 is -2, and the answer is -1 over 2. And our final question, the answer is -2. Let's figure out how to get that. That's going to be 1 all over f prime of g of -2. And then that's going to be equal to 1 over f prime of what? G prime of -2, or sorry, g of -2 is 5, so f prime of 5. And that is going to be equal to 1 over, okay, f prime of 5 is -1/2, -1/2. Oop, that's about 2. And the answer is -2. So if you think these problems are easy and that there's a shortcut, you are correct that there is a shortcut. They might not be easy for you, but the problem with the shortcut is if you start only learning the shortcut, what happens if I do a new table values of, I don't know, 7, 3, 2, 9? Be careful, because I've seen lots of AP questions that have multiple values in their table. They're usually 1, 2, 3. Sometimes they are 2, and it's kind of easy, but sometimes they're not. So be warned. And that concludes AP Calculus BC Worksheet 2-2.